Hello, welcome again to Cathy's Creative Corner. Let me try that again. Get my tongue all tangled up here. Welcome to Cathy's Creative Corner. There, I said it. I hope you've been doing well these past few days. I know I'm enjoying life. Hope you are too. I have a baby quilt here that Miss Joy Buchanan has done, and it is absolutely gorgeous. All this cross stitch, it's a lot of work, and it is beautiful. And she's made this for a little girl, baby girl. I'm sure you knew that. And she wants the pink ruffle put around it. So I'm going to show you how to do the ruffle. Of course, you can do it any color. But she also bought this brown fabric with the pink roses and the little pink ribbons in it, which I think is just beautiful, and that looks like a baby girl to me. I know brown is a popular color for babies now, brown and pink. So what I have done is I took the little quilt and I laid it out on top of the fabric with the right side of the fabric showing, and I pinned it together real close so that I can put the ruffle on it. So once you get that cut like that, what you do is we're going to sew it on the back and then turn it to the front. But you want to be sure when you sew it on, if you look at the ruffle, you think, well, that's pink on both sides. It doesn't matter which is right and which is wrong. But it really does. The right side, you can see the stitches, one after the other. On the back side, you can see, it looks like 2 or 3 stitches together, 2 or 3 threads. That's a chain stitch, and if you pull on it, it will come loose if you pull on it just right. Remember the old feed sacks that you had to find the right end and the right string and just pull it, and it just all came apart, just raveled out. Well, we're going to put this on the back first and then turn it and sew it on the top. So what I'm going to do is just start right here. Now, if you want to pin this on first, you can do that. I'm just going to, let me move it over so you can see. I'm going to hold the top. Now this is my right side, and I'm going to put it down because that goes on the right side. I'm going to turn the edge under just a little bit. We'll fix that in a minute. I'm going to, just a minute. I'm trying to get it unfolded here. I'm going to take this and unfold it. Okay. Now this is still my right side, and I'm going to unfold this. It's just bias tape. It's what it is. And I'm going to sew it on here just like it's a piece of bias tape. So I'm going to fold my edge under a little. And when I do mine, I fold it a little slanted this way, a little crossways, so that you won't have this hanging out down below the ruffle when it's sewn on. And that's the reason I sew it just a little bit at an angle, fold it that way. Now, and you can pin this if you want to, if you feel like you need to, but I'm just going to hold it on here. I'll put a pin or 2 in it to begin with to get it started. I hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving and lots of family visitation and friends. I know I had a wonderful day. Of course, every day is wonderful if you make it that way. You have a choice when you wake up in the morning. There's 2 different kinds of people in this world. There's the people that wake up and say, "Good morning, Lord." And then there's people that wake up and say, "Good Lord, it's morning." Well, I'm one of those good morning, Lord people. So I like to get up in the mornings and say, "Good morning, Lord. What a beautiful day it is, and I thank you for it." And by doing that, you're setting the pace for your day. Rather than it being a negative, dreary old day, you can have a good day. Let me see. Just checking it out here to make sure that I'm doing this right. It's not like it's first thing in the morning, which is when I really like to do things better. Yes, that's going to be just right. Okay. Now I'm just going to sew this all around. And I always backstitch it, but don't sew past over towards your garment or your quilt past the fold on here, because it will kind of mess it up. You want to keep your stitching right on that fold line if possible. I know the Christmas holidays are up on us, and when you meet people and you want to tell them hello and things like that, don't say season's greetings or happy holidays. Tell them Merry Christmas, because that's what it's about, Christ. So let's don't leave Christ out of Christmas this year. I don't know about you, but it gets harder and harder every year to find decorations that have something to do with the real reason for the season. And I don't like to find, to get Christmas paper with all of the things on it that we use to symbolize Christmas, we as people, that really aren't about Christmas. So you just sew this all the way around your quilt, just like this. Just keep your stitching in the fold right there until you get all the way around. And this is why you need to cut your fabric right to the edge of your quilt, make the edges even. Otherwise, it's not going to catch everything when it needs to when you turn the ruffle to the other side and stitch it down. So, and the reason I sew it to the back side and then turn it to the front side is so that I can top stitch it down. If I don't, I'll have to whip it down by hand on the back side, because your stitching won't come out right where you want it to be if you try to sew it on the machine from the back. And this makes it a little sturdier. And another reason you might want to put some kind of binding on this, although the little quilt has a binding on it, sometimes these things that are pre-printed, that have bindings on them, the stitches will break, or they didn't catch the edge or something, and it'll come loose. So this just reinforces that. Now, just be sure that you keep your edges together. And just stitch it right down in the seam, the fold there. I hope that if you do a lot of cooking for Christmas, I hope you have some wonderful food and desserts. My favorite part of Christmas dinner is desserts. By the time I get to desserts, I'm too full to eat them. Are you that way too? It happens sometimes, you know. It happened that way Thanksgiving. But I always manage to eat just a few bites of everything, or try to, especially if it's potluck, because somebody might have brought that and they'll be offended because I didn't at least taste it, you know, and I don't want to offend anyone, but I at least try to get a few bites of everything rather than a whole lot of one thing. However, there was a sweet potato casserole at Thanksgiving dinner this year. And I said, if everyone would turn their backs, I'd just get that sweet potato casserole and get me a fork and go outside and hide and eat it all. I love sweet potato casserole. I'm sure we all have our own favorites, favorite dishes, favorite foods. There'll be parties, get-togethers, things like that to do for the Christmas holidays. Just go ahead, continue to sew all around the edge. Take your time, don't get in a hurry. If you want to get in a hurry, pin it first. that will save you some time when you sew it on. You can sew it faster that way, but I don't really like to get in a big hurry unless I'm doing a strip quilt or something like that. But I just get it sewn all the way around and leave a little more, overlap it just a little when you get back to where you started, because you want to be sure you have enough so that when you finish it, your raw edge on your ruffle is not going to show. So I'm just going to stitch that just a little farther. Now, got that done. So that's looking pretty like that. I love this pink ruffle with this brown and pink fabric. I'm going to turn this over to the right side. And I'm going to cut my ruffle right here. Okay. Let me find my bigger scissors. Pardon me, I'm back. I had to get my bigger scissors. I forget and move them over there. But we're going to trim this off right there and have a little left. You might want to make a doll quilt or something. Okay. And then I can take my pins out now if I want to. And then I just lap it over like, get these pins out. And this is a bias tape, so it's easy to go around the edges. So we're just going to flip our bias tape over. And let me pin this down right here so you can see what it's going to look like. And then I'll start sewing it down. Oh, that pin wanted to be stubborn. Okay. Get another pin and put it right there. And, ouch! Careful, don't stick yourself. And if you do, be careful not to bleed on your project. It doesn't bother me much if it's mine, but if it's someone else's, I sure don't want to bleed on that. So, just fold that up. If you want to press it, that might help. But it'll fold over real nicely since it is bias. Now, in case you don't remember or don't know what I mean by the bias, it's just the material. You know, you have your cross grain and you have your lengthwise grain, but if you pull it from diagonal corners, your fabric stretches. That's the bias of the fabric. So I just turn my bias tape down a little and start stitching it. And I'm going to start right here. I'll just put it under my pressure foot. Okay. Put it under the pressure foot and start stitching it down all the way around just like I did the other. And it's going to be a beautiful little quilt, going to look nice on a little girl. Make that pretty little girl look even nicer. Do you believe that? I don't think babies can look any sweeter. But they do look sweet and nice things. So you just sew it all the way around. And this is such a pretty little bear, an angel. We all like to think of babies as little angels, but you know they're really not. And when we die, we're not going to be angels either. God made angels and He made mankind. And this says, "Now I lay me down to sleep." Little child's prayer. And I can remember many times as a little child saying my prayers, and that's the only prayer that I knew to say. And that's okay. God hears those prayers and God answers those prayers. But when you grow older, you don't need to be saying that when you need to mature a little. But this is a very simple, easy way to do this. And there's not, other than the cross stitching, which is a tremendous amount of work, there's not a lot of work to putting it together. And if you wanted to, especially for the winter time, you might want to use some flannel on the back, and that would be nice. It would be a little warmer for the baby. But in the summertime, just regular cotton, cotton polyester would make a good backing on it. There's just so many things you can do with this, so many different ways that you can adapt it to whatever you're doing. And you might not want to use the ruffle. You might want to just use a colored bias piece. And you can buy quilt binding, or you can make your own. I like to make my own because that's just the way I am. But if I have store-bought binding, that's okay too sometimes. But normally I like to do it myself, because when I get a project done, I can say it's all mine. I did it. But this is such a pretty little quilt. It's a nice gift for anyone. Any mother would be proud to have a quilt like this for her little girl. And there's so many different designs you can buy. And like I said, they're pre-printed. You can get them already stamped like this, and then buy the thread and do all the cross stitching and embroidery. And see, it does have a little bit of just regular embroidery, like for her wings and her halo and some of her hair. It's easy to do. You just follow the directions. Cross stitching is easy. There's little stars on here that's done with regular embroidery. It makes, like I said, a nice gift, or nice if you want it for your baby. There's many different ways that you can make little quilts or large quilts. You make them all the same way, basically, just depending on the size. They, like I say, this is easy to do. You can sew the binding on and have it done in a little bit of no time. I could have already had this done if I wasn't talking so much, but I have a habit of doing that. You can also do this, like if you wanted to make an apron, you could use the binding. It doesn't have to be on something quilted. See, this is a quilted piece, and you can use the binding, the ruffle, or whatever on lots of different things. You buy it already put together like this, the bias tape and everything. You could put it on a skirt or a shirt or whatever you want to, but it looked nice on an apron. And since this is the holiday season, aprons seem to be fashionable, and you want your apron to fit the season. So if you want to make an apron and put something like this, just use some kind of Christmas fabric or some solid colors that you think would be pretty for Christmas. You could put this on it, put little bows on it, maybe even get some little bells and tie them on there. And just so many different designs and things that you can do. And like I say, my aim is not to tell you to do this way and that way. It's to give you ideas to build on, to come up with your own projects. And I just want to help you out with things like that. And if you don't know how to sew, or don't know how to do a particular technique or something, if I know, I'll be glad to teach you. If I don't know, I'll see if I can find out how to do it and share my knowledge, because this is a God-given talent. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at it, but God gave me the ability to sew, and I like to share that ability with other people. And if you need any help with anything like that, just give me a call. My number is 501-317-7187. So just give me a call if you have questions or comments about the show. If you can think of something you'd really like to see me do on the show or make, whatever. It's not limited to sewing. I like to do the sewing part, but I also do a lot of crafts. So if you have questions or comments, please let me know. And I did meet a nice young lady the other night. Her name is Bree. She was at Southern Belle's Resale and Jordan's Appliance shop, and they have lots of good used appliances and things like that. And I was just in there looking around and visited with her for a little while. So if you want to, just stop by and tell her hi. Tell her I sent you in there. And if I meet you somewhere, let me know what your first names are. Don't have to know last names, but just let me know what your name is, and I'll say hi to you on TV. And maybe your friends will watch. Well, for now, this is my show. I'm going to let you folks get back to your knitting, as they used to say, and I'm going to finish.